we're seeing is overdose rates beyond what they've ever been.
Drug overdoses are one of the leading causes of death in the U.S., and that problem is getting worse here in Metro Detroit.
But the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration is on the front lines in the city trying to fight the trend largely fueled by heroin.
As 7 Action News reporter Jennifer Bisram takes us behind the scenes tonight in an exclusive report.
This was the first time television news cameras in Detroit were allowed to ride along with the DEA agents and the special agent in charge. Agents say they want to generate awareness to the drug problems in our area because awareness is a big part in preventing and combating the crimes. In the war on drugs, we hit the streets of Detroit with Special Agent in Charge Timothy Planson, who heads all DEA activity in Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. How dangerous is it for your agents working the streets?
I mean, it's always a concern. There's a lot of guns on the streets of Detroit. Whenever you talk about drugs and money and combine those two, violence quite often goes hand in hand.
We ride through some of the hot spots where addicts are known to get their heroin.
The biggest problem that we're having throughout the division and in here in Detroit as well is heroin and opioid abuse. We're here on Lance Street in the city of Detroit.
More than a dozen overdose deaths in this single Detroit neighborhood this past spring alone, but a problem the feds have been facing for a long time.
One of the things that we're seeing is overdose rates beyond what they've ever been.
To give you an idea, in 2014, there were 47,000 overdose deaths in the country, most of them involving heroin or prescription drugs. That coming from a study last year done in part by Trust for America's Health. And also troubling that year, 435,000 people around the U.S. reportedly admitted to using heroin.
It seems to be touching all ages, from very young to the elderly.
Agents say most heroin users start out abusing prescription pills and then head straight into heroin because it's cheaper and easy to get on the streets. These days, addicts are flocking to fentanyl.
It's scary because it's such a potent drug. In the cases that we're working and seeing, fentanyl is laced with heroin has become quite a problem.
Even more alarming, drug users are drawn to overdose deaths.
If an addict finds that there's an area where there's a lot of overdoses happening, a lot of times they'll flock to that area because they think it's a better heroin, a better load. It doesn't necessarily mean that this neighborhood is riddled with addicts.
Right.
It could be suburbanites, it could be people from different parts of the city, it could be from anywhere coming here, but this is where there was a good source of supply.
And it comes as no surprise that money is the motive for the suppliers.
At the wholesale level, a kilo of heroin in Detroit is probably anywhere between $65,000 and $80,000 a kilo.
And then how much can they make off of that once they have that?
Multiply that times at least 10.
But agents say, make no mistake, it's a crime and you will get caught.
It's the person who delivered that heroin, causing that overdose and death. There's a crime in that. Our goal is to try to cut that off at the kilogram level so it doesn't make it onto the streets.
Thanks to tactical teams, informants, wiretaps, and good policing, DEA agents have been putting dents in drug trafficking here in Metro Detroit. In 2013, the agency made 58 dope dealer-related arrests here in Metro Detroit. In 2014, 98, and last year, 121. These numbers don't include arrests by local and state law enforcement agencies who usually target lower-level dealers.
It isn't something where you get to just try it and see if you like it. Quite often, they'll try it and you're hooked. You're done.
A warning from Metro Detroit's special agent in charge, who now vows to rid the city of drugs and traffickers, a city where he grew up in, served once before, and is committed to today. And federal agents say you can help them get drugs off the streets, too. If you have any information about drug trafficking that you think the DEA should look into, you may submit a tip anonymously online. We have the link on our website, WXYZ.com. And remember, you should always report drug-related crime issues and information about drug houses to your local police department. Jennifer Bisram, 7 Action News.
Thank you, Jennifer. The National